Today's episode features the world's first brain neural interface connected to ChatGPT, a GPT-5 model that will make GPT testing indistinguishable from humans as early as December, a caterpillar robot that can squeeze into any crevice, and a slave dog taught to play soccer. NASA showed an epic trailer of a future mission to the moon, and SpaceX's next-generation Starlink satellites began falling to Earth. All this and more right now, here we go. The GPT recently received a major update, GPT-4, but OpenAI is already working on the next big software changes for the GPT. GPT-5 is due out in December, after which generative AI will be indistinguishable from humans as it reaches what is known as Artificial General Intelligence, AGI. When artificial intelligence reaches AGI, it becomes similar to humans in its understanding of concepts and tasks. That is, a conversation with GPT after upgrading to GPT-5 may be indistinguishable from a conversation with a human. However, this is all just a guess, because there is simply no AGI model with which to compare ChatGPT. Regardless of whether or not the GPT-5 reaches AGI, it will still be more functional than GPT-4, which is already a massive upgrade. The ChatGPT checkbox now supports multiple languages, connects to the internet via plugins, passes most exams, surpassing the capabilities of the previous version, and supports multimodal input, meaning that a request to it can be formulated as text and images. GPT-5 will probably be able to generate results even faster and more accurately, and handle even more complex tasks, such as writing better code than its predecessor. OpenAI may also introduce an intermediate version of ChatGPT before moving to GPT-5. OpenAI expects GPT 4.5 to launch in September or October. It will probably become clearer at that time exactly what details OpenAI is working on. Despite frequent and serious inaccuracies in statements, GPT's large language model has forced Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales to think hard about involving AI in writing material for the most read encyclopedia in the history of mankind. Another possible scenario is more obvious: entrusting Wikipedia with finding gaps and writing summary entries for pages not yet written, using information from the internet. On the other hand, Mr. Wales noted, the resource's reputation rests on a special attitude toward the objectivity of information. For large language models like the GPT, this is still a problem, and if you don't detect inappropriate information in a timely manner, it will snowball. People will use it in their work and learn from it. Other models will correct errors, which will become more and more difficult as time goes on. Finally, Jimmy Wales has not yet found an answer to how the work will affect the systematic, albeit unconscious, bias of Wikipedia. Most volunteers cover some topics predominantly from their point of view, and ignore what is not of interest to them. On the one hand, the GPT was designed to try to find a balanced view of various topics and to bring in new nuances. There is a bias inherent in her teaching data. Swedish manufacturer Stelrite introduced the electric scooter Dostalrite 1, which is made using industrial origami technology. The novelty has not a single weld in the construction, and its range is 75 miles. One of the key objectives of the creation is to take care of nature. In addition to the electric motor, which eliminates harmful emissions, the chassis of the electric scooter is made entirely from recycled steel sheets. The scooter also has an 8-kilowatt motor and is capable of reaching speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. The scooter is powered by a pair of 5.1 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion batteries, providing a range of 75 miles. According to the manufacturer, the device takes only 4 hours to charge. The scooter is also compatible with smartphones, allowing you to track its location, monitor the battery level, and conduct diagnostics. The launch of serial production is scheduled for next year. It is noted that the first batch of scooters, called Limited Founders Edition, will be different in appearance. Engineers from North Carolina State University have created a small, soft robot capable of imitating the movement of a caterpillar to squeeze into narrow crevices. The authors have published a video demonstration of their brainchild, believing that the robot could be extremely useful in search and rescue missions. The 10-centimeter machine was created in the image of the caterpillar of the mother-of-pearl moth. Like other insects of this subspecies, it moves forward or backward by sequentially twisting segments of its body. The curl of the body moves either from front to back or from back to front. And while the caterpillar uses its muscles to do this, the robot relies on silver nanowire heaters. In the end, the researchers were able to guide the robot through a 30x 3 millimeters gap. the device is expected to be a valuable asset in search and rescue operations and diagnostic procedures in medicine. The author of the YouTube channel Fireship told how he managed to connect a neurointerface, a screen that reads the electroencephalogram, to ChatGPT chatbot. The neural interface shows the electrical activity of the brain, which depends on our state and actions. For example, when we sleep, our brain emits waves with a frequency of only 2 Hz. But when we are awake and solving a complex task, such as playing chess, the brain waves increase to 35 Hz. All these changes can be read by a non-invasive device. In other words, you don't need to make a hole in your skull for it. The neural network is able to train itself to recognize your individual patterns. That is, patterns. For example, you can think hard about biting into a lemon, and the gadget will read your brain activity at the same time and remember it for that particular thought. The program translates the brain waves into a numerical representation, and it can already be used in the code. A blogger took advantage of this opportunity and wrote a program that makes certain thoughts, such as the idea of biting a lemon, into commands. Connecting the OpenAI SDK, the author was able to make the program at this command to send a request to the ChatGPT bot. This opens up some curious possibilities. For example, if you are late for a meeting, just a thought can make the ChatGPT person write a letter of apology to his colleagues. MIT specialists and their colleagues have created a robotic system for playing soccer. In fact, it is an ordinary 4-legged robotic dog which has received additional sensors and sensors to calculate the trajectory of the ball and analyze the landscape. The development was called Bot. He can guide the ball, moving through unfamiliar terrain. And it copes with its main task not only on well-cleared laboratory grounds, but also on the street, where there are rocks, dirt, pits, and other inconveniences. If the robot stumbles and falls, it will become responsible for it. A special controller built into the system after recovery will continue to kick the ball and follow it. Interesting fact, unlike its counterparts, it does all this without using additional arms manipulators. Robo's footballer understands where he is and sees his surroundings, thanks to sensors and cameras mounted on his head and body. He also has a set of actuators that allow him to use force and move himself around. He is not afraid of a ladder. Between the sensors and actuators is a computer, or brain, charged with converting sensor data into action via motors. When the robot runs in the snow, it can't see the snow, but it can feel it through the motor sensors. Its special maneuverability and ability to move in difficult conditions allows the bot to be used not only as a partner in a soccer game, but also as a compact rescuer during floods, earthquakes, or other disasters, the developers conclude. It's been just over a month since SpaceX launched 21 next-generation mini-satellites for its Starlink constellation, and some of them have already attempted to return to Earth. Starlink's V2 mini-satellite, number 30,062, entered Earth's atmosphere Monday over the California coast, and the upcoming PADI satellite was reported last month. The announcement was made by Jonathan McDowell, a noted astrophysicist at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center who observes Starlink constellation objects. According to his data, there is a high probability that the satellite burned up on re-entry. According to McDowell, 3 Starlink V2 mini-satellites from the mini version were rising to enter operational orbits, while one, in contrast, performed a controlled deorbiting maneuver. Other observers have also followed the aircraft minis since their launch. That includes the official Starlink Insider resource. Last month, Starlink Insider was among the first to point out that recently launched next-generation satellites were slowly falling instead of rising into space. The head of SpaceX, Elon Musk, admitted at the time that the satellites were having some problems and that some would be taken out of orbit and others would still be tested. The mini-satellite that recently went down may only be the first of a larger batch. Starlink's 21 next-generation satellites were launched aboard a Falcon 9 rocket on February 27, 2023. Mini-satellites are smaller versions of spacecraft that will be used in the future. They are expected to help increase internet bandwidth. This will allow the company to offset the growing demand for services until it organizes large-scale dispatches of full-size models to orbit. To do this, SpaceX will need a heavy rocket, the first launch of which may take place as early as one of these days. The fact is that Falcon 9 rockets used today are not designed for launching models of the new generation into orbit, forcing the creation of their mini versions. According to some reports, the company was planning to send a second batch of mini models into space last month, but now their fate is under question. In anticipation of the launch of the Artemis II mission, NASA has released a cinematic trailer. Like an upcoming blockbuster, it is timed to coincide with the imminent announcement of the names of the 4 crew members who will go to explore the Earth's satellite. In the trailer, NASA head Bill Nelson can be heard giving epic speeches, and a heroic soundtrack plays in the background. The Artemis II mission will be as important as the Apollo 7 mission, which launched on October 11, 1968. Apollo 7 was the first crewed flight in the Apollo program, which resulted in tests of flight systems in space that paved the way for the first moon landing in 1969. The video itself precedes the big announcement when NASA and the Canadian Space Agency will officially unveil the 4-person crew for the Artemis II mission. Its goal is to launch the manned Orion spacecraft, which will orbit the moon and return to Earth. It should happen next year, and the landing of people on the moon is scheduled for 2025 as part of the Artemis III mission. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. Have a nice day.